If you're battling those stubborn post-concussion symptoms, you know how frustrating it can be. It feels like you're stuck in a mystery with no solution. Well, today, we're going to play detective and investigate a surprising culprit that might just hold the key to your recovery. Let's get into it. Are you still dealing with headaches, dizziness, or that awful brain fog long after your injury? Maybe you've even been told it's all in your head. Well, you might be right, just not in the way they mean. What if the real source of the problem isn't your brain at all? You know, in any good mystery, you've got your usual suspect, and in this case, it's the brain. But there's another suspect, one that often gets completely overlooked, that can cause the exact same symptoms. And that's an injury to your upper neck, right where it connects to your skull. Today, we're going to figure out which one is the real culprit. So here's our game plan. We'll look at the mystery itself, and then we're going to gather 4 huge clues using some simple at-home tests. After that, we'll piece it all together to solve your case. Okay, so here's the absolute core of this mystery. The same jolt or impact that gives you a concussion can also injure the delicate ligaments in your upper neck. When that happens, it can create all those concussion-like symptoms. It's basically a case of mistaken identity that can leave people stalled out for months, sometimes even years. All right, let's gather our very first clue. And this is something you can start paying attention to right away. This is all about cause and effect. All you have to do is notice how moving your neck actually changes how you feel. It's really simple. Just pay attention. You know, when you turn your head a certain way, like looking up and to the left, does your headache suddenly get worse? Does the brain fog roll in? That's a huge piece of evidence. Then you can try the opposite. Get a simple foam collar and see what happens when you support your neck. If that little bit of support makes you feel better, bingo. You've just found a major clue that points straight to your neck. Time for our second clue, and this one's even more direct. It's a simple pressure test that you can do on yourself right now. Okay, seriously, you can do this one as you're listening. Just take your fingers and gently press on those muscles at the very top of your neck, right where they meet the base of your skull. Now what happens? Does that pressure bring on your headache? Does it change your dizziness at all, for better or for worse? Any change here is a really, really significant finding. And here's why that little test is such a game changer. Think about it. Like Dr. Chris Centeno says, a brain injury is inside your skull. It's not going to react to you pushing on the muscles in your neck. So if pressing on your neck changes your symptoms, you're not poking your brain, you're poking your neck. The connection is pretty clear. Okay, for our third clue, we're going to look at how your body has responded to things you might have already tried. Your own history with different treatments is basically a treasure trove of evidence. Just think back for a second. Have you ever gotten a massage on your upper neck or seen a specialized upper cervical chiropractor and suddenly felt your brain fog lift, even just for a little while? What about trigger point drain needling, or maybe even diagnostic facet injections? Or has a physical therapist ever gently lifted your head, giving it a little traction? If any of those things that are targeting your neck changed your symptoms, your body is literally telling you where the problem is. And again, the logic here is just undeniable. There's no part of a brain injury that gets better when you get a facet injection in your neck or when someone gently pulls on your head. All these treatments are aimed squarely at the spine. If they work, you've pretty much found your culprit. All right, for our last clue, we're looking at the hard evidence, medical imaging. But, and this is a big but, we have to look past the usual tests. So many people with these symptoms go through the exact same frustrating cycle. You've got all these debilitating issues, you finally get a brain MRI, and the report comes back completely normal. It's incredibly disheartening, and it can make you feel like you're going crazy. But what if the problem is impossible to see when you're just lying there perfectly still in an MRI tube? The injury we're talking about here, craniocervical instability, is a problem of too much motion. So you need imaging that can actually see what your body is doing while it's moving to find it. And this is where a technology called digital motion X-ray, or DMX, is so cool. It's basically a video X-ray of your neck while you're moving it around. It can show if there's too much sliding and shifting between the vertebrae, which is a telltale sign of a ligament injury. It's something a normal, static MRI would just completely miss. Now, there is another option out there, an upright MRI where you bend your neck forward and back. But honestly, the results can be a lot harder for doctors to interpret correctly. For a lot of people, a DMX gives a much clearer, more direct picture of what's really going on.
Okay, we've gathered all of our clues. The investigation is officially complete. Now it's time to look at all the evidence and finally close this case.
So let's review. If you went through these clues and found yourself nodding your head yes to them, if neck movements make things worse, if pressing on your neck changes your symptoms, and if treatments aimed at the neck have given you relief, then the evidence is pretty overwhelming. The prime suspect is no longer your brain. It's an injury to your upper neck. Now, figuring out the real source of the problem is a huge, huge breakthrough. But it's just the first step. The real question is, what do you do now with this information? The key is to find the right kind of expert. You're probably not looking for more of the same concussion rehab you've already tried. You need a specialist who really gets the spine, specifically a non-surgical spine expert who understands what craniocervical instability is and knows how to properly diagnose and treat it. By just shifting your focus, by moving the investigation from your brain down to your neck, you might have just found the key that finally solves your post-concussion mystery and unlocks the real path forward to recovery.